Can a psychic really predict your love life? What if I told you that someone named Karina got a prediction of her future love exactly as foretold by the reading? If you thought that psychic predictions were a bunch of something, then watch this video until the very end. I think you're going to find it interesting as to how these predictions played out in real life. Karina came to me unsure about her love life. After getting a prediction of her future love, she knew exactly what to look for in terms of the physical description of the person and also a good idea of how the meeting would come about. She also had an interesting detail that popped up in the reading, and that detail was, well, I guess I'll leave that detail for a little bit later, but you're going to figure out what exactly that detail was. Fast forward 6 months, and guess what? I got an email from her telling me exactly how the whole movie had played out. Hello everybody, I am Vaishali Nikhade. I'm an engineer turned psychic with over 9,000 readings, and I show you how you can leverage the power of stars in your love life. In this video, I'm going to show you how psychic predictions actually play out in real life with example of just one client who had a prediction of her future love and how exactly it played out. So here's what you're going to learn in this video. How psychic predictions work, description readings, comparing predictions and reality, and taking aligned action. Your goal is to look for or be on the lookout for whatever it is that the prediction foretells so that you do not miss an opportunity that you may just discard as an ordinary event or an ordinary meeting. All right, so let's get started. How psychic predictions work. So there's a little bit of history to this, and I'm not going to dive a whole lot deep into it, but I'm going to share a little bit of it. And this is back when I was consulting psychics because I was looking for some answers. And what I found is I called one psychic and then I called the next one and the next one and the next one. And by the time I was done, I had called maybe around 50 of them. Yes, 50. And none of those predictions actually played out in real life, which led me to believe that, oh my God, this is just a bunch of BS. That, this, does this even work? And coming from a science background, I was curious. So I decided to go on a journey where I wanted to find out for myself if this thing had even a little bit of truth to it or it was just nothing. And that's how I got started. And in the process, I became a psychic myself. So I verified one prediction, then the other, then the other. And then I started reading people, and everyone started coming and telling me that, oh my God, this played out. Oh my God, this happened. Oh my God, that happened. And I have lots and lots of such stories, and we are going to cover one such story in this particular video. One thing I wanted to cover was vague versus specific predictions. A lot of times what happens is predictions can be vague, like the predictions that you get can be vague, that, oh, you are going to meet someone, oh, something nice is going to happen. But these vague predictions, they don't really help you in any way. What you're looking for is specificity. Like, if I'm going to meet someone, then can you tell me like what the person is going to look like? Or can you tell me something about the person? Like, can you give me his description? Can you tell me like one salient feature of what is going to stand out in terms of his face or in terms of whenever we come across each other for the first time? Or can you tell me like where we are going to meet or how the meeting would happen? Can you tell me if I know him from before, or can you tell me it's going to be a brand new person? This is like the most common question my clients ask, if it's someone they know from before or if it is a brand new person. And to a certain degree, the psychic should be able to answer these questions with a great deal of accuracy if they are adept at making predictions, and they have done the work over and over, because at the end of the day it is just about repetitions. Like if you do the same thing over and over, then you kind of get an expert at it, because you learn this fine angle, that fine angle, that fine angle, that fine angle, that fine angle, so on, and by the time you're done you have like a very refined set of predictions. And then these refined set of predictions are going to help someone a lot more than what a vague prediction is going to help. Like, oh yeah, you'll meet someone. That doesn't have any meaning. You can meet lots of people, but that's not exactly what the client is looking for, or that's not exactly what my clients are looking for. When I know they are asking me a question, or when they're asking me a question, because I have done so many readings now, I also read the energy in their voice. So I know what kind of questions they are asking, but at the same time, I help them reframe the question. And we spend a lot more time framing the question so to get an accurate answer than in terms of me giving an answer. Because once you have the question framed properly, getting the answer becomes a lot easier. So asking the proper question is about 80% of the job. And if you're not asking the right question, then you just need to reframe and reframe and reframe and get help reframing the question so that it's very easy to zoom in on the answer. And when you do that, the predictions can also become very specific, as in case of Karina. Like she was looking exactly for the description of the person. She wanted to know exactly like what this person is going to look like. Incidentally, she also had a question if she knew this person from before, which I mentioned that it's a very common question. So go ahead and put in the comments below if you've ever had any vague predictions and you would rather get more specific predictions, or what kind of predictions have you had in the past. So let's get back to Karina's journey, which is her case study or the description reading. So what exactly are description readings? Description readings are readings which are going to give you, or they are going to define the exact details, or they are going to describe the person. So in the case of Karina, she wanted to know about this person. She wanted to know what he looked like, and maybe any other details I could give out in terms of, let's say, his physical features or anything else that she would want to have. So that would be like one type of description reading, where you're giving out the physical features or the physical description of the person. So that is one type of description reading. The second type of description reading could be like the place of the meeting. So it could be like this meeting place, which means that I'm going to describe the details of the meeting place, and I have a video like that coming up where I described the details of the meeting place and how it actually played out in real life. So that could be one other type of description reading, which is the details of the meeting place. Then the other type of description reading could be like how exactly the first meeting would happen, in terms of like what could transpire between the two of them, what kind of conversation would they have, how they would come across each other, and whatever other details you can gather. So you can have lots and lots of description readings. I've done description readings for houses. You can have a description reading of a house if you're looking to buy a house, and let's say that you're not finding a house, then it could be like, what area is the property located? Or I had a client who was looking for an apartment, and she was like, can you give me the details of the surrounding area? And I gave her the details of the surrounding area, and essentially it was that helped her to narrow down her search, because then she kind of knew what area to focus on, and she got an apartment in the area or similar. I don't want to say similar, but she got an apartment as per the description reading. So now what happened with Karina? So Karina was looking for a description reading of the person. So she wanted to know the physical description of the person, what he's going to look like, and so on. And by the way, this is a very common question I answer for my clients. So I gave her whatever the description reading was, and sometimes what would happen, or what can happen, is that in the reading itself there could be some other things that show up. For instance, in her reading, what showed up was this was not going to be the first time that she's going to come across the person, which means that she had come across him in some capacity. I gave her a vague description of how she knew him from before, but it wasn't that specific because the question was not about that. Remember, the question was about how or what he's going to look like. The question was not like, did we come across each other before, or where did we come across each other before? So think of this additional detail that I got as a bonus for her reading. So that's what her reading was. And after the reading, I also gave her a time frame, which was, I would say it was close to like 6 months. It was less than a year. It was around 6 months plus minus something. So it was less than a year. That was the time frame that she got. And then I just mentioned that, hey, when it happens, let me know. I would be curious to see how this plays out in real life, which is always fun because in essence, I'm also trying to measure my capacity or my ability to make predictions, because as soon as you measure something, you can kind of grow from it. And sometimes if I miss a detail here or there, then I know, oh, this is what I missed, this is what I need to improve on for next time. So that's what I told her, that hey, listen, when it happens again, then you can just let me know. Not again. When it happens, let me know. So if you would like to get a description reading and know the description of the future love that is going to come in your life, then click on the link below, because I have a special offer for you where I give you the description reading of your future love in terms of their physical features, what exactly they are going to look like, and anything else that pops up, just like how in Karina's case it popped up that, hey, it's going to be that your paths have crossed before. Now, the reading is a digital download, and when you click on the link below, then you will be able to learn more details of what it is and how you can access it and so on. All right, so now we come to the next part where we compare predictions as well as reality. In a sense, I was telling you that whatever gets measured gets improved. So I can only know that if the client provides me feedback. And some of the clients, they provide me feedback, and some of the clients, they don't provide me feedback, and some of the clients don't provide me feedback because they probably do not listen, because I did not tell them what they wanted to hear. So I get a lot of clients like that as well. So, and unfortunately, I do not tell them what they want to hear. Sometimes what happens is what I see is what they want to hear, and in that case, they really like me. Otherwise, they don't. All right, so coming back to predictions versus reality and how to measure the predictions. So like I mentioned before, that unless I get feedback, I'm not going to kind of know how things played out in real life. Now, in her case, there were like a couple of things happened, which is I saw a post on Facebook, and the post essentially kind of spilled the beans in the sense that she had met that person. And then I kind of got an email from her, and in the email, she gave me a side-by-side comparison. Unfortunately, I cannot share these kind of emails because they are personal to the client. So, but she gave me a side-by-side comparison as to what I had predicted and how the story played out in terms of the description. I had said, oh, let's say for instance that I said that, oh, he would have blue eyes, and maybe he had bluish eyes, but not exactly blue eyes. And then he would have, say, dark hair, and maybe he didn't have dark hair, or he had dark hair, or he had blonde hair, or he had red hair, or whatever. So she gave me a side-by-side comparison of how exactly the reading played out. So now there was this one piece of the story where there was an additional bonus that I told her that, it's going to be that this is not the first time that you guys have met each other. And she mentioned that was actually true. They had actually met each other in a different environment when they were both taking a class, and they were both students. So it's like, in any class you take, let's say there are 40, 50, 60 students. So sometimes it's possible that maybe you kind of just know each other by face, and maybe there's never a face-to-face conversation, or maybe you just say hi. Or maybe you have a conversation, but nothing comes out of it. So there could be lots and lots of ways that could play out. But essentially what had happened is they had taken a class before. So they sort of knew each other as in hi, hello kind of a thing, but I don't think they knew each other beyond that. And this is when this person actually came in her life specifically for a different reason. So what the reading had mentioned, that their paths had crossed before, actually was true, that their paths had crossed before, but that was all it said. It didn't say how. Well, it didn't have a lot of the details. It had some vague details, and I didn't want to go too deep because that really wasn't her question. So essentially, it pretty much played out. I want to say about 80 to 90% of it was correct. 10% there were some things which were, say, not exactly to the point. Like I mentioned, blue eyes versus bluish eyes kind of a thing. So there were a few things here and there which were slightly off. So that's really how the prediction played out in real life for Karina. So we come to the next part, which is taking aligned action. So as I mentioned before, as a psychic, I read lots and lots and lots and lots of people, and a lot of them come to me for questions pertaining to relationships. Some of them, not all questions are the same. Everyone has different questions because everyone has different circumstances, but there is like a chunk of them who are single and they are looking to meet someone. And they kind of come to me with a similar question like Karina as to what the description of the person is going to be, but there are some other questions around it like, oh, when am I going to meet this person? How am I going to meet him? Where am I going to meet him? And so on. And at times what happens is the reading will predict a time which is like way far out. It's not, let's say, it's not very close. I don't want to give a number to it because it's different in every scenario. And then based on the way it is showing that timing, I can tell that they are not really doing anything, or they are not really taking any aligned action. So essentially that what the reading is telling me or telling them is that there is, say, lack of action, or there is lack of visibility, or there is lack of let's say some sort of variance in their schedule, like they're living the same day over and over, like they get up and go to work and come back and go to bed kind of a thing. So it could be that kind of a scenario where they're not really coming across a lot of new people, or they're not getting exposed to enough new environments. And because of that, the reading is showing that, oh my God, it's going to be like a long, long time. And some clients, they don't want to hear it. Some of them may even hang up the phone. But some of them are a little bit more open, and what they would do is they would say, okay, so how can I become more visible? And then we look into that, and then I just tell them what the reading shows me, and then they get a little bit more direction as to how they can move forward or what their next step is going to be. So essentially, just because somebody gave you a timing or somebody gave you a prediction which is like way far out, that is not really the end of the story. Like I mentioned before, framing the right question is about 80% of the work. In that particular case, you have to turn around and switch the question and say, oh, if it is so far away, then what can I do to bring things closer, or to make things easier, or to make myself more visible, or so on. So essentially, it is also about taking aligned action. And when you take that action, you will see that things change or things shift. And if such a thing happens, or when such a thing happens, you can look back and you can say that, oh my God, if I had not taken that one action, I wouldn't have come to this point. So that's essentially one of the good things about getting predictions, is that they kind of also tell you where you're stuck, and not only where you're stuck, but also how you can get out of it. So being stuck is one thing, but if you want to get out of it and you're willing to make some changes, or at least you're willing to start by making changes, then the reading can give you this kind of information, and you can take this piece of information and run with it and take action, and this can help you kind of navigate you in the direction towards the goal, whatever your goal is that you're working for. Go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button if you believe in taking action in order to move forward. So if you are ready to get clarity like Karina on what your future love looks like, then go ahead and click the link in the description below and you will get details on how you can get more information on your future love. Now, getting the description of a future love is one thing, but how do you know when you meet a person whether or not he's hiding something from you, or if he's hiding something from you? Because the last thing you want to do is meet a person and then they're hiding something from you and you're like, oh my God, I wish I'd never met that person. So if you'd like to find out how to know, or how to find out if someone is hiding something from you, that is the subject of my next video, and I'll see you in my next video.